our road safety men, because they are out there making sure that we are safe, especially this Ember period. And we believe that everything shall be well. Okay? And we are heading to our destination. We have some people who came in, and they are great people, and honor must be given to them. And so I'm going to be introducing them to us so that we know them. Solarina, his wife in the house, that we make him give him a big welcome. Please make him welcome. Make him welcome. It's not easy to have a professor come out. You understand? You know, the professor is always in his nest. Chairman is on his way. And very shortly, he will be with us. And news reaching me from the newsroom is that we have another great man in the house, all the way from the office of the Auditor General for the Federation. I'm glad for him. Make sure he's seated where he's supposed to be seated. Please bring him to the front. All right. And at this juncture, I would like to hand over the microphone to my pilot. He's going to be piloting us to a higher altitude. Please put your hands together for Dada as he comes to take us on this program.
Thank you. A drama to be presented by the International Gathering of Eagles Drama Group. Are we set? That's between the high table and the errand.
Community leaders, pastors, honorable ministers of the gospel, chairman for this occasion, Professor Haye Yose, former High Commissioner to Canada, highly respected government officials of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, my own mentor and his wife, piloted us way back from the University of Ife, who is here this afternoon to see his boy launch his latest book, Professor and Mrs. Adewale Roland Sholare, Director of Mathematical Center here in Abuja. Ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. I like to give glory and honor to God for making today a reality. As I welcome you warmly to the launching of this book, Say No to Corruption, which is something that God has put in our hearts a couple of years back. There's no doubt this is another milestone in my life, and I believe in the life of all of us gathered. As you all know, this is not the first book I have written, neither is it the first book I am launching. I recall a similar event in London on August 21, 1999. But today is very unique in the sense that the book we are launching today, To the Rescue, Say No to Corruption, is not the common physical pastoral books, but a fictional novel. This book, unlike other books, has taken me more than 7 years in writing. As a matter of fact, the subtitle, Say No to Corruption, was the watchword the Lord gave me for our church, Christ Apostolic Church Bethel, in Efuru Warri in the year 1997. I'm very sure that the question, I imagine, will be agitating your minds, and I dare say anyone's mind, is what is corruption? What is the motivation for writing this book? Corruption is one of the deadly, undesirable, and wicked sins that have been imposed on the innocent man by some hungry-looking monsters. It is omnipresent, almost like a distorted, antithetical version of a God for the present times. Corruption is a cankerworm. Corruption is a terminal cancer. It has not only led to the malfunctioning of the administrative system and poor law and order, but also some serious causes like poverty and red tapeism, which has led to the society's disability. It has denied Nigeria and Nigerians of the dividends of the petrodollars that God has blessed them with. Corruption has prevented Nigerians from having constant power supply. Corruption has denied Nigerians from having good roads. Corruption has denied Nigerians from infrastructures. Corruption has denied Nigerians potable water and thereby meaningful lives, truth, and virtue. It has entered into every single aspect of our lives, becoming all pervasive, just similar to the air we breathe. It is growing massively in huge proportions, and there is barely any sphere of social, political, economy, and even religious activity that is free from graft, from misappropriation, from fraud, and corruption of some kind. It is now regarded in this country as a fact of life and an evil which is inseparable, with which we have to live throughout. It happens as much in the daylight as it is done behind the closed doors. It is under every stone we turn and every door we open. Thus, it is this corruption that can be considered as a deadly sin in our society, and it's a shame that we are being evasive and denying this fact by considering it. It is a habit and a part of our lives. It need not be so. Corruption is a human creation, and man will have dominion over it one day if we desire to do so. I didn't hear you say amen. Amen. I could tell you 1,001 reasons that motivated me to write a book on how to fight corruption. But that will be another book on its own. But it is important that you know anything that has an unknown purpose is subject to abuse. To make clear is that this book is not just written to Nigerians alone, even though they can be considered as my primary target, since that is where I originate from, and it is written for every nation and organization across the globe battling with the issue of corruption. And the grace of God, by virtue of relocation, I'm a Canadian, but I'm also a Nigerian to the core. And so I believed in the Nigerian project. I was educated here up to the PhD level, and I'm occupying a strategic position as a process engineer in one of the Nigeria's foremost corporations, NNPC. I can say I've seen Nigeria live and swim in corruption. I have seen the devastation and desolation that it has brought to our nation. I have been blessed by God to visit many nations on earth, and I've discovered it is a universal problem. The United Nations has classified Nigeria as a developing nation. However, in my travels, I've seen many nations in this category that are far ahead of Nigeria. Nigeria got our independence in 1960 compared to Singapore of 1965. It is true the population of Nigeria is not comparable to that of Singapore, but high-level development in Singapore was attained because they have zero tolerance for corruption and have the will to fight corruption and do not indulge in it. For example, one of the mega church pastors there is currently charged with corruption for using church funds to finance his wife's project. The politicians, the church, and the generality of these people are made to know that when the issue of corruption and embezzlement has to do with the nation, there are no sacred cows. Corruption, ladies and gentlemen, is unacceptable to the Singaporeans, and their GDP is growing in leaps and bounds. Their children, youth, and citizens are not seeking asylum and making refugee claims in America, in Canada, and many other places around the world. We have no statistics of our children that are dying in the desert of North Africa in an attempt just to check out of Nigeria. I do not know why Nigerian is indifferent, slow, lethargic, and apathetical in fighting corruption. But I believe something has to start. Recently, I was in India, and the current news was the jailing of Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu State, Jaya Jayalalitha, by Judge Michael John Koha. For those who may not know, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu State is the equivalent of a governor in our country. And this is a sitting governor. And from the government house, she was thrown to prison. No wonder we see development coming up in India and less here. In jailing this woman, the judge quoted Al Gore, the former vice president of the United States of America, quoting, "Incestuous coupling of wealth and power pose the deadliest threat to democracy." Gore said, "Prevention of Corruption Act has a purpose to serve," and added, "when the legislature intends to eradicate corruption by providing for deterrence punishment, it is the duty of the court to effectuate the purpose of the act." What Quran is saying is that the legislature in every country are mandated, in any country that wants to develop, to legislate and make laws that will not allow the citizenry to practice corruption. But not stopping there, he also makes it clear that the judiciary should be able to make things happen. In the case that I'm discussing, the case went on for 11 years until this judge got there and said, "We can't continue like this." I'm hoping that from today, something will happen in our nation. Amen. This book, To the Rescue, is written as an eye-opener to what you and I can do and need to do now to rescue our nation. Let me give you another reason for writing this book. In 1979, I was an undergraduate in one of the Nigerian universities. It was an election year. The nation had been plunged to military rule since 1966. Students like me were told that the military was corrupt and democratic governance was desirable and less corrupt. Furthermore, if the civilians were given the opportunity to rule, corruption would be a thing of the past. There will be monumental and rapid development of infrastructures and the economy will blossom. The fear was whether the military will allow the civilians to govern. Eventually, civilians took over. Looking back, coup after coup, one regime after the other, the various succeeding civilian governments were even worse in terms of corrupt practices. In 1999, the military coup and the military regime again handed over governance to the civilians. 15 years after, the question that agitates our mind is, has a lot of Nigerians changed? The answer is resounding no. The next question is, the people ruling in 1979, are they the people ruling today? The answer again is no. Maybe there are one or two of them, but 90% of people ruling Nigeria today were young people 35 years ago. Meaning the students of 1979 who were critical of the leadership then are the rulers of today. And instead of offering better leadership, they are worse. The current president of Nigeria, President Goodluck Jonathan, was 19 years old. I was an undergraduate then. The youth of today, henceforth, or therefore, will be ruling in another 30 to 35 years to come. Therefore, one of the major purposes of this book is to hopefully prevent this vicious circle, retrain the minds of the youth, retrain the minds of Nigeria.